Hey there and welcome. So think about it. Your business is probably sitting on an absolute mountain of data, right? But what if I told you there's a way to find the hidden logic inside all of that? The secret if-then rules that actually drive real value? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to uncover a method that shows you how your business really works.
All right, so let's kick things off with a problem that is honestly super common in today's business world. It's a paradox that I bet a lot of managers out there know all too well.
This quote, wow, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? A landscape of informational abundance, but directional scarcity. I mean, think about it. We have more data than ever before. Endless dashboards, metrics flying at us from all directions. But does all that information automatically mean we're making better decisions? You know, a lot of the time the answer is no. It feels like we're just awashing data, but we're still kind of lost, searching for a clear path forward.
And this is exactly what we call the data mirage. Managers can feel totally paralyzed. They're on with tons of data about what happened, but they're missing that key piece of intelligence to understand why it happened, and more importantly, what to do next. We're absolutely information-rich, but we're starving for actual insight.
So, the big question is, how do we cut through all that noise? How do we go from just staring at data to actually discovering the hidden architecture that connects everything? Well, the solution, my friends, lies in a really cool technique called association rule mining.
So yeah, let's dive into association rule mining. What is it really? At its core, it's a machine learning method, a technique specifically designed to find these interesting, hidden relationships and patterns in huge databases. I like to think of it as a special kind of tool that helps us find those connections that are totally non-obvious. The ones our own gut feeling might completely miss.
And you know what's really amazing about this method? Its power is in its elegant simplicity. Seriously, it's all built around this super straightforward if-then logic. And the best part is, you can apply it to pretty much any kind of data you can think of.
Okay, so this is the basic structure right here. You have the if part. In the lingo, we call that the antecedent, or X. And then you have the then part, the consequent, or Y. The rule is just suggesting that, hey, when X happens, Y is pretty likely to happen too. It's really as simple as that.
Let me give you the classic example, the one everyone knows, market basket analysis. If a customer buys bread and butter, they're also pretty likely to buy milk. Now, this isn't just a random guess, right? This is a real pattern that was discovered by analyzing thousands, maybe even millions of customer transactions. Okay, but a fair question is, how do we know if a rule is actually strong or just a fluke? Well, we use two key measurements. First, there's support. You can think of support as telling you how useful the rule might be. Basically, how often do these things even show up together in your data? And then there's confidence. This one measures certainty. So when the if part happens, how often does the then part actually follow? You really need both of these to know if you found a genuinely valuable rule.
And hey, this whole thing goes way beyond just simple pairs of items. You can find what are called multi-level rules. So for instance, you might see a connection to soft drinks as a whole category, not just one specific brand. You can also apply this same logic to numbers and even use it to figure out the sequence of events. Like someone buys a camera and then a week later they come back for a new lens. So you can see, this if-then logic isn't just some abstract thing for data scientists to play with. Let's take a look at how it provides incredibly powerful insights. Insights that can help you make way better decisions across your entire business.
Now, the most famous application, the one you've probably heard of, is definitely in marketing and sales. I mean, this is where association rule mining really made a name for itself, helping businesses finally understand what their customers are actually doing.
And just think about this for a second. Those recommendation engines you see everywhere, well, they're heavily influenced by this exact type of analysis. And get this, they reportedly account for a staggering 35% of Amazon's consumer purchases. That's the power of being able to predict what a customer might want next. It's huge.
But the really crucial part is how this all translates into action. It's what drives cross-selling, suggesting items that go together. It helps create smart promotional bundles to get people to buy a little more. And it can even change the physical store layout. I'm sure you've heard the legendary story of a retailer discovering that people often bought beer and diapers together. So they moved them closer to each other, and surprise, surprise, sales of both went up.
But here's the thing, it's not just for retailers. Let's pivot to a completely different department, human resources. You can use the exact same if-then thinking to get a much deeper understanding of your own workforce.
Yeah, by looking at employee data,
an HR team can uncover some really powerful connections. I mean, what if you found out that employees who take a specific set of training courses almost always end up having higher productivity, or that flexible work arrangements are strongly linked to higher engagement? See? This is how you stop guessing and start building a real, data-driven talent strategy.
And we can push this even further. We can apply this exact same logic to the very core of how a business actually runs, and even where it's headed. I'm talking about operations and strategy.
So in operations, you could find these hidden links between different steps in a process. And once you see those, you can streamline your workflows and cut out waste. And then at the highest strategy level, you can literally map out your entire business ecosystem to see how different companies, technologies, and standards are all connected. This can reveal massive opportunities and risks that you would have totally missed otherwise.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the how. But let's be real, the most important question for any manager is always going to be, how do we turn these cool patterns into a genuine strategic advantage?
And this right here, this is the key. There is a huge difference between finding a pattern that's just statistically interesting and finding one that actually drives profit. The real challenge for any company is to bridge that gap, to go from a neat data-driven pattern to a real value-driven action.
So how do you actually do it? Well, it's basically a three-step process. First, and this is the most important part, you have to define what value even means to your business. Is it profit margin? Customer lifetime value? Something else? Second, you let the algorithms do their thing and generate all the rules from your data. And then third, you prioritize them. But, and this is key, you prioritize the rules that rank highest on your business criteria, not just on the boring old statistics. And that, right there, is the ultimate value proposition. Thinking in terms of associations is the bridge. It's what takes you from drowning in a sea of raw data to making focused, profit-driven, strategic decisions. It's your escape route from that data mirage we talked about earlier.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What kind of hidden if-then logic is just sitting there, buried in your sales figures, or your employee data, or your operational logs? What secret architecture is just waiting to be discovered inside your business?